as a thank you. Go to am950radio.com for the details on the membership. That's am950radio.com. Thanks to everyone who's already received their calendar, and thank you so much for supporting AM950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
Hey, it's Patrick. The holidays are finally over and life is returning to normal. Except now you're noticing all those stains left on the carpet from the holiday company. So it's time to call my cleaning heroes at Zero Res. The new year is here and it's time to take advantage of Zero Res's best deal of the year. Carpets, tiles, rugs, upholstery, basically every surface in your home can be Zero Resified. And don't forget about your air ducts to alleviate allergies and asthma and improve air quality in your home during these long winter days. Don't DIY it. Call Zero Res because you know they're safe and effective. The gotta love it guarantee makes it easy to get what you pay for. Zero Res absolutely stands behind every cleaning. This month, get 3 rooms Zero Resified starting at just $119 and take an extra $75 off when you get your air duct Zero Res clean. Schedule your appointment today. Go to ZeroResMinnesota.com or call 952-ZERO-RES and ask for the AM 950 special. Zero Res. With a look at your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Cloudy overnight with a low of 33, then cloudy on Tuesday with a high of 38. The music is still the hottest at Crooner's Supper Club in Fridley. Crooner's is located just north of I-694 off Highway 65 and Moore Lake Drive. View their upcoming music schedules and food menus at croonersloungemn.com.
Portions of the following program may be pre-recorded.
The views expressed and the opinions given by the individual host, guest, random reptoid, or chupacabra may not necessarily reflect those of AM 950 Radio, its affiliates, or its sponsors. Now, it's time to step into the unknown. There are things people experience but never talk about. A shadow moving in the corner, flickering of the lights, a disembodied voice. We invite you to talk with us. Share your story, share your experience, because this isn't just your story, this is our story. This is Ghostbox Radio with Greg Bakken.
And this is Ghostbox Radio and AM 950, where every night we talk about the paranormal, ufology, Bigfoot, and so much more. My name is Greg Bakken. Thank you very much for joining me tonight. Happy Monday, everybody. I hope everyone had a great weekend. I hope that you were able to get out and enjoy the weather. Well, I mean, the weather being mild, of course, but boy, what a lot of fog we got, huh? I mean, as I said last week, this is kind of my weather. You know, I'm creepy. Fog isn't creepy. It's more mysterious, isn't it? And I just really enjoy that sort of weather. And for people who know me, know that I'm a bit of what we call an Anglophile, meaning that I'm all about Britain and stuff. So once again, that weather is very suitable for what I really like. But all the same, today, if you're in the Twin Cities area, we saw this kind of orangey ball in the sky, and it emanated heat. And the around it was like this blue sort of color. And yes, folks, we call that the sky. We call that the sky. We call that the sun. It was really pretty incredible, actually, that we had that tonight, and I enjoyed that. I enjoy that a lot. So I enjoy the fogness, but it's nice to be able to get some of that sun on us. And so I was here earlier in the day. I sometimes work during the day here as well. And I left probably around 6, and you could see some of the sun in the sky still. I mean, obviously not sunny, but it wasn't completely dark. I mean, the worm's turning, folks. We're getting away from winter. I mean, and I'm sure we'll still get some wintry sort of weather or whatever, whatever. But we are getting closer to spring, which is kind of exciting as well. Now, I am starting a new hashtag today, and it's called hashtag Just Greg. And what that means that these are the special episodes of Ghostbox Radio where I don't have a guest. It's just going to be me, and I'm going to pick a subject. I'm going to talk about it. sometimes getting guests, the timing doesn't align, or sometimes there's miscommunication and the people we're going to have on, just by chance, it's not going to work out. And when you're doing this nightly, like I am, you just got to roll with it. It's not a big deal. You find something to talk about, and we talk about it, because I know I'm not alone. I have a bunch of you out there who like this kind of stuff too. And so I decided, when I'm doing these, I'm just going to call them Just Greg, hashtag Just Greg. And you'll see it in the title. If you're looking at it through the podcast, you're going to see that's what's called, Just Greg Night Aliens. And that's the way to know if you don't like my voice. That's the one that those are the ones you can avoid. Otherwise, if you do like when I'm kind of on my own, then those are the ones that you may want to listen to. I don't know. So I was thinking to myself, I said, self, if we're going to do a Just Greg episode, then what should we talk about tonight? And the thing that I really want to talk about, and I always want to talk about, are aliens. And I was thinking about it, and I put a question out on the Facebook pages, and I'm going to read some responses probably in the second segment. But this is where, for those of you who may not be as into this as some of us are, this may be a leap of faith tonight. This may be something where you might be like, it's Fonzie jumping the shark, but it truly isn't. And I think what people may romantically think about some of the stuff that we talk about on this show, as in, the idea of ghosts, that's kind of noble. Oh, the idea of the idea of having, a Bigfoot, that would be interesting, wouldn't it? Or aliens. And we talk about it, and we talk about people's experiences, but some of the stuff I got tonight, you might think is weird. Okay. And this is not disparaging of anybody who is giving this information. This might affect some of your comfort levels in what we talk about here, because the fact of the matter is, we're talking about aliens tonight. Amongst it, we talk about alien abduction. And if you don't believe that such things happen, that is fine. You don't need to believe what we believe. But when I'm having people who tell me about how much it affected their lives, and how much that no matter what age they are, from being young to now to being older, that they still are waking up on a ship, and they're forced to do things because they're basically being slaved into help populate the earth, hybrids. And once again, you might be like, well, that's something that's a hard one to take, and that is your prerogative. And I don't know how many people who do shows like this who actually will put out there and be like, I'm not talking about this as a what if scenario. I believe this happens. And I believe the people and my friends who've experienced this, I've had them tell me the same story multiple times, and they have never, ever changed a word. And they're not actors. They're not people who memorize pages of dialogue because they want to keep a story straight. This is ingrained in their minds. I just had a conversation with a friend of mine on Saturday, a week ago Saturday, actually. We talked about the same story many times, the experience. And I looked at him and I said, do you think you're because he had dreams about kids, like hybrid kids. And it's like, are you these kids in the dreams? Do you think they're your kids? I mean, for some reason, we never talked about it before. And he's just like, I think it's very possible. And that's something that you could brush that off. But when you're having dreams like that, often. And in my friend's case, being told, you will see us again. It's something you should pay attention to. And for those of you who have not experienced it in any way, I don't think you're missing out. And I say that as, I don't think you should be like, oh, I didn't get the opportunity to, to see an alien or see it. I wouldn't be too much in a hurry to do that. Okay. The old adage is careful for what you wish for. You just might get it. And, I've told this story before, and I think I'm going to tell it again because I think it's timely. And I do spirit box sessions, the little radio that scans the frequency. And I believe that spirits can talk to us. But I also believe that you can use it really for anything, because I think the way that you contact spirit is actually no different than how you might want to contact like a Sasquatch or an alien. And once again, I understand that this is not something that most people are going to be able to really get their head around. And I don't mean that as looking down on you. I just mean that these are new concepts. And it's all, for a lot of us, it's just distanced, right? It's like, oh, I've heard about something like that. But when people start talking very candidly about it, it does become a different sort of thing. And so doing a spirit box session one night, my whole purpose was to reach out to aliens. And I've done it before, and it'd be like, can an alien come through, please? That sort of thing. And this time, it was very much more forceful on how I approached it, because I really wanted to get some kind of alien interaction. And so I was more determined and very pointed, and started to ask more questions, and more like, you need to answer me. You need to answer me. I need to understand what you're saying. You need to tell me where you are. Are you around here? Are you, all this stuff. And the problem is I'm in my house. First of all, I'm doing this on a Facebook Live, so people are watching me. They're getting affected. The people who are watching are getting affected. My head starts to hurt. Their head starts to hurt. Now, you might be like, well, that's psychosomatic. In some cases, it might be. But there are people who I trust who are having some very difficult times. And so I speed up the spirit box, because the SB7, you can have different rates of speed. And I go to the fastest, and then it speeds up more, which is impossible. And people can hear it. We know what these things sound like. And for those who don't know, it's white noise basically. And it's a kind of a stutter, kind of sort of thing. This is going very fast. And then what I will never forget is the voice that came through. And it says, while I'm on Facebook Live, to me, it says, we are coming. And I said, are you coming to Earth or coming for me? And I asked that because I know I was asking some very pointed questions. And the response, and I got a response, it said, for you. And I'll never forget that. Everything changed in the house at that moment. Everything changed in the house at that moment. A good idea of a, like, if something's not going right is your pets. My cat Linus, he's always around me when I do these. He took off. It just felt like there's entities in the room, and we're going to get to that a little bit. And things just and my head started to pound. I started to get people in the comments saying they're hurting, they're not feeling well, they're going to leave, they're going to call it a night. And that was kind of scary. So it's like, okay, we come to an end here. I swear there's something in the corner. Have you ever seen them film Signs with Mel Gibson and Joaquin Phoenix? Have you ever seen it? Have you ever seen that cloaking? I have, in my house. Now, when that's done, I'm messaging two people at once. Denise Pack, you might know her husband Ernie, who's been on the show multiple times, and my friend Brad Webb, who has done Crack Skull Paranormal, makes paranormal equipment. They're both texting me like, number one, am I okay? Brad's like, I'm not doing so great over here. Denise is just like checking on me. And then my phone just dies. I can't restart it. I can't do anything with it. It is dead. It's done. I don't know what happened to it. I cannot restart it. Ultimately, I need a new phone from that night. So I go to bed, and not to quote Adam here, with the lights on. Well, I had a TV on. I all night just felt, once again, there's stuff around. My cat not seen. He was not around whatsoever. And wake up, do my stuff. You know, I'm talking with some people online, and I'm just looking down. I'm working on my computer, and all of a sudden, I get a massive nosebleed, and blood just comes gushing out of one nostril. And that was the next day, the day after I did the session. From then until now, it's only now that I'm feeling close to how I was before. I had a very serious bout of COVID that nearly cost me my life. I believe I won't get into all of it. Not tonight, at least. There's a lot of things at play. Last year wasn't great. But it was very, very scary. And sometimes I think they're still with me. You know, I don't know what else to say. So, you know, I always say that when people are like, oh, I'd love that, because I was there too. Now, there's stuff I do want to do. I want to try, and we'll talk about that maybe a little later if we get time to do so. I've mentioned it before, but it is very, it's very serious and something I will never forget. And I can have people who are listening right now, and I'm like, that's BS. That's garbage. You know, you just had a nosebleed. You had a headache. You're letting things get to you. Fair enough. That is your take. All I can tell you is what happened to me. And all I can tell you is that was what I experienced. That is not up for me for you to believe. It is up for me to deal with what happened next. Why don't we go ahead? Let's do this. Let's take our first break. When we come back, let's hear from what some of you had to say. Also put into the comments your any sort of alien stuff that you want to share with me. I can't take calls tonight, but I can listen to the comments. You're listening to Ghostbox Radio on AM 950.
Reach your highest level of consciousness and well-being with metamorphosisconnections.com. Metamorphosisconnections.com is an online directory of the best holistic and metaphysical practitioners to help you make your most informed choices. You can search metamorphosisconnections.com for classes, events, wellness and life coaches, plus metaphysical products and shops. You can also search for a wide array of healers from all modalities, including EFT, sound healing, energy healing, light therapy, ancestral healing, shamanic healing, reflexology, past life regressions, hypnotherapy, yoga, and more. And if you're not sure where to start, the search feature on metamorphosisconnections.com is tailored to help both those who know what they are looking for and those who are just starting. Come explore the possibilities for your higher self by visiting metamorphosisconnections.com. Their experienced practitioners can guide both beginners and those that are already on their spiritual journey. That's metamorphosisconnection.com, your link to direct you on your spiritual transformation.
Hello, I'm Jody, also known as Witch Jody on social media. I opened Midwest Witchery and Healing in historic Stillwater because as a nurse, I love to help others. When you come and visit Midwest Witchery and Healing, you will find everything from divination and magical services, classes to ritual tools, jewelries, handcrafted candles, witchy gear, and much more. My store is a safe environment for all on their own unique path. Look for the purple door. Find out more at MidwestWitcheryHealing.com.
Magus Books, your multicultural spiritual supply store. Stop in and expand your horizons with books, classes, readings, and supplies at magusbooks.com or in our shop at 1848 Central Avenue Northeast in Minneapolis. From the best incense to beautiful statues, we have supplies and books for your spiritual explorations. Come in and chat with our knowledgeable staff and get what you need for your next adventure, whether you're fighting ghosts or opening your third eye. Check us out today at magusbooks.com.
Located just north of 50th in France, the Great Wall Restaurant has provided a delicious taste of authentic Chinese cuisine since 1981. Specializing in Szechuan and Peking dishes, they offer one of the most extensive menus in the Twin Cities. Favorites include hot and sour soup, pan-fried dumplings, and mushu pork with homemade Chinese pancakes. Stop by their Edina location or call for takeout at 952-927-4439. See the full menu at greatwallrestaurant.us.
And welcome back to Ghostbox Radio. My name is Greg Bakken. Just me tonight, and we are talking about aliens. We're talking about UFOs. We're probably talking about subjects that some of you may find a little bit hard to listen to because, first of all, it might sound preposterous to you. I'm aware of that. Also, it might sound a little bit kind of crazy. But I assure you that, I'm coming to you from a place of truth and with my experiences and the people I talk to about it, I fully believe. So a couple things here. We're going to go to the chat here real fast. Julianne says that, nope, they mess with humans on many different levels. I think that's very true. And I think that there's a lot of tests that they give us, whether, especially in the abduction stage. And, I think in my opinion, we can't say all of them, all visitors to this planet do that. I think just like there's different levels of humans, there are different levels of aliens. And we know there's different types of aliens, but in terms of whether or not they all, every alien to us that comes to this planet, that they're all here to do the same thing, I think that's absolutely not true. So to your point, Julianne, I definitely agree with that. Robin had a couple things she wanted to say. Let's see here. Are aliens also part of our collective consciousness? And I think so. If Robin, if what you're saying is like kind of deep in our memories, right? That maybe in some ways that our development is part of what they have decided. Maybe they had a hand in our evolution. I don't see how we could throw that out, Now, if you watch Ancient Aliens, every single thing that's ever been done on Earth can be attributed to aliens. I'm not saying that personally, but what I am saying is that I think that there is more to it than we think. Someday I think we'll have to find out. We are all connected as physical being animators. Robin also says, and I would agree with that as well. And that's the thing. And, one of the things that people might say at this point, because I was thinking about this during break, is like, all right, Hotshot, you had all this stuff happen at your house. How did they get here? Did they land their saucer in your backyard and you didn't know it and no one else saw it? This is what I think. First of all, I think anyone who thinks about traveling across space as a traditional way that we travel across the country in like an airplane, in a ship of some kind, I think you are off base. I don't doubt that there's still a ship, but that you got to start thinking in terms of stuff like wormholes. That there are things that allow you to go from one side of a place to another in expedited way that you can get to your destination much faster. And I think that this is what we've been looking at. So it's not necessarily it needs to be a spacecraft like how we would travel to Mars. It'd take 8 years or something like that. No, we're looking at something that is kind of the gap, bridging the gap between one solar system to the next. And that's harnessing something else. So, I've talked about this before, about how my friend John and I were in his backyard. It was a clear night, and he's out in Wisconsin. It was a very clear night. And we just sat and we watched. And Vicky says portals. Absolutely. Yeah. Actually, I think that's more of what I meant to say than wormholes. Thank you. And we watched, and it's just a circle in the sky. Not huge. I mean, it was way up there, but it looked like that, like stuff was being kind of sucked in around the circle. Like it was like kind of, kind of bleeding in a little bit, but a ship would come out. It would fly out, drop, and go on its way, and it'd be one right after the other, just coming through, nothing on the other side, but coming through the circle and just going through, drop, going through, drop, going through, drop. We counted over 70 of them. 70 of them. What the hell is that? I don't want to see Starlink in the comments, because it's not. Starlink is something very different. Looks like a trail of like Christmas lights or something, This was something very different. And honestly, it almost looked like, are we being invaded? I mean, I'm not trying to start a panic here, because we're not. This was a year or two ago. But it's serious. It was something very, very serious. And I think that's something that, you have to, kind of keep in mind about it. And that's the thing. You got to go somewhere where the skies are clear to be able to see things. And Starlink is very obvious what Starlink looks like. This was not it. And I don't know what it was. It's also interesting too in that area, is that they in where John lived, there was a report of a UFO sighting the night before, and him and his wife Chris were talking about it, and it sounded very interesting. And then that night we saw that thing. The next morning, Chris wanted to show me that report. She went looking for it, and she couldn't find it anywhere. It'd been removed. Now, if it was John looking for it, it'd just be like, well, you don't know what you're doing, because he doesn't know technology worth what. But, Chris has it together, and she couldn't find it. I don't know. I'm not saying conspiracy. It could just very well be that someone's like, oh, I was mistaken with what it was. But the way that those two talked about it, that this was something more and closer than what we saw. What we saw was way up in the sky. This was something close to the ground. Yeah. Let's see. Let's go to the comments here. Julianne says, I'd been under attack of dark magic for many years. These people hacked my phone and computers. These people took me down on so many levels. I didn't know exactly who was doing this. I was desperate and was almost homeless and had to go live with a friend, or who I thought was a friend. I realized it was a friend, and that it was this friend and other people that did this. Oh, goodness. I was scared because I believed that these people were going to really hurt me or worse. I pulled out my tuning forks and use them and Reiki. I had some portal open, and while being appeared in this portal and communicated that they were, I think this is something different. I'm sorry, because I don't think all of your comment got in here, Julianne. Just to comment on that part first. The dark arts thing is very interesting to me, only because I don't say this very often. Okay, so Julie said that she saw a spaceship that night after using the tuning forks. I'm going to read her next bit here in a second. But the thing is about the dark arts is that my experience last year also included the dark arts. And I had to specifically go to somebody who worked in dark arts to get it removed. And it worked. But I had to, and Shar helped me find this person named Nancy. And it worked. But, and immediately it worked. But what is the correlation? That's the question, right? Let's see here. Julie goes on to say, because she had so using the tuning fork, she saw a spaceship. I had some sort of portal open, and white beings, appeared in this portal and communicated that they were there to help me. They also communicated that I needed to find a physical way to move from there. Once I got out, I had 3 white beings come to me, and around this sometime I felt that I was put into some sort of energetic bubble to protect me. I asked my trusted psychic person, and they said that these beings were upgrading my DNA and providing me with information for the future. You all remember when we had Angela Boley on, the psychic, the psychic portrait artist? And what was it? She was 3 or 5 years old, and she died, and she was what she thought was being brought up to heaven. And I'm not putting words in her mouth, because this just made me think of it, that she was basically being rebuilt to be able to handle illnesses and stuff. I mean, it sounds very familiar. Let's see. So I'm just, okay, frenemies suck. They do. They really do. So that's very interesting. That's really super interesting. With that, let's see, we're good on time. Why don't I go over to Facebook, read some of the comments. And the question was simply this tonight: have you ever had direct contact with aliens? And so we got a couple of responses. Some of these, once again, I think some of these are going to be hard for people who are not familiar with this conversation. It might be a hard one to listen to, because you're going to say, this is really out there, but it's not, okay? Robin says, yes, they come through sometimes when I'm doing a session. And I asked her what kind of session, and she said spirit box. That's how I got it, okay? A friend of mine, Zan. Now, Zan, this is going to be maybe the most difficult one to understand tonight. I have known Zan for years, and she is not lying in this, okay? So Zan says, yes, I've been abducted 3 times and had experience with a gray. I was in the tub calling up Sasquatch to come while meditating in the tub in lavender and bath salts, relaxing, getting in the zone, when all of a sudden I opened my eyes and saw many gray orbs floating up out of the tub. I knew Sasquatch was here with me. Soon after, I was overheating, got out of the tub, and as soon as I got out of the tub, I saw just under 5-foot gray looking at me in the corner of my bathroom. He looked scared, and I said to him telepathically, "It's okay, little one. It's okay. I won't hurt you." And he disappeared. I was mind blown. Okay. Now, like I said, that's not something that people are going to listen to and be like, "Oh, wow." That's something that, that is, we're bringing in a lot of different aspects here, aren't we? But as I said earlier, I do not believe that there is a difference in communicating with spirit, with trying to communicate with aliens, with trying to communicate with Sasquatch. I have used the same, after being around other people, I've used the same way of communication for all three categories there, because there's so much more within there. And that is, it's the same for everything. Now, some people are like, well, no, Sasquatch is this animal, this creature. They are not animals. They are not animals, folks. I believe they're interdimensional beings. Okay? There is a, what's the word I'm looking for? There is a kind of a tone within the forest. And from there, it's all about keeping the peace. There's like this frequency, and they are part of it. Once again, you see it for the first time, and then you'll understand. I'm a firm believer in that. See how many people are still listening to this show. Let's see, moving on. Bishop Rake, who we've had on the program before, exorcist. This is something that you should keep to heart when people are like, oh, I don't think that's really that bad. I think people don't know what they're talking about. I think that, it's not real. This is from Bishop Rake. Alien-infested childhood that still terrifies me. Scars, disappearances while with friends, missing time, and all. I repress as much as I can. All right. So what am I saying there? What I'm saying is that there's people who are like, I remember what happened, whatever. And then there's someone, I have known her for years upon years. I never do that. Diana, who I saw on here actually in the chat, asking if she had a face-to-face with aliens. She says, not that I know of, like in the movies where they're walking among us, which I do believe that's the case as well, but did see a UFO in Wayland, Michigan, laying on a picnic table on August 13th to watch the Perseids shooting stars on my dad's property 37 years ago. I later researched to see if there were any sightings, and there had been. I just now looked, and in 2011, there was a sighting. You got to wonder if there's some sort of, area there that they're being seen more. I mean, it's just kind of like the whole idea of the Hudson Triangle. If you're not seen that, go check out the documentary. I think it's the Shock Doc or something on Discovery. Very, very interesting. Now, of course, I go over to AM 950, my station, where I have the question posted as well. And let me pull it up here real fast. And the last couple times I posted these kind of questions, I've been getting answers from people who are, I'm not sure, some of them are not very, very pleasant about it. Someone posted a meme. And he writes, Mark writes, posting for a friend, and it says, with a picture of an alien, Fry, you don't deserve this planet. I don't know. Let's keep this conversation going. But first off, I do need to go ahead and take a break here. And when we come back, we'll continue this conversation about aliens. Anything that you want to talk about, put it into the comments. I have plenty more to talk about. It is a fascinating subject, Lynette. There's a lot more to talk about. You're listening to Ghostbox Radio on AM 950.
If you own a holistic or metaphysical business and are looking to expand, then you need to be listed on metamorphosisconnections.com. It's a network where you can grow with like-minded practitioners and reach new clients. Metamorphosisconnections.com is an online directory you need to list yourself and your business. Our platform makes it easy for you to create listings of your products and services, and you can also choose to list your classes, events, and so much more. MetamorphosisConnections.com helps you create weekly and monthly promotional ads targeted towards your potential clients and promotes them for you via social media and newsletter. There are clients searching for your specialty right now. Let us help them find you. Start your listing today so you can share your own unique gifts and talents by finding the level of membership that best fits your needs. Let us help you reach your clients that are searching for what you do. Visit MetamorphosisConnections.com and sign up today.
Hello, I'm Jody, also known as Witch Jody on social media. I opened Midwest Witchery and Healing in historic Stillwater because as a nurse, I love to help others. When you come and visit Midwest Witchery and Healing, you will find everything from divination and magical services, classes to ritual tools, jewelries, handcrafted candles, witchy gear, and much more. My store is a safe environment for all on their own unique path. Look for the purple door. Find out more at MidwestWitcheryHealing.com.
Lewis Black, Goodbye Yeller Brick Road, the final tour.
Look, to allow QAnon to run amok, they're nuts, okay? And I don't give a if your cousin's in QAnon and you don't think he's nuts. I'm not a psychiatrist, but I know cray when I see it.
Lewis Black, live on stage in the Mystic Showroom, Friday, April 26th. Get tickets now at the Mystic box office or online at mysticlake.com. For more, visit lewisblack.com.
With a look at your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Cloudy overnight with a low of 33, then cloudy on Tuesday with a high of 38. The music is still the hottest at Crooner's Supper Club in Fridley. Crooner's is located just north of I-694 off Highway 65 and Moore Lake Drive. View their upcoming music schedules and food menus at croonersloungemn.com.
And join me tomorrow on Ghostbox Radio with Greg Bakken. We are going to have on tomorrow Lynn Monet. We are going to be talking with her. She's author. I've had her on before talking about her book, Omnipresent. There's 3 books, okay? And Omnipresent is about a very traumatizing thing that happened to her and her family paranormally at her house. And she's written a number of books about her situation. And I thought, Lynn, we had you on before, back when I was doing the show weekly. Let's get you back on again. But why don't we tackle each book separately over a course of 3 episodes? And they are not back-to-back episodes. The first one is tomorrow. Little does she know, unless she's listening, I'm going to have to reschedule a couple of them. But we're going to get through each book 1 episode at a time. They are good books. I'm going to actually read when I get home tonight, read a little bit more of it. But, we love to read this stuff to be scared. But don't forget, folks, as we were talking about all night here, it could happen to you. So just remember that, okay? It can happen to you and when you least expect it. Then Wednesday, it's probably going to be me just again because the person I wanted to bring on has not responded. But I want to talk about a very special area of Minneapolis, which was the birthplace of Minneapolis, St. Anthony, Maine, because that place is legit, okay? And I want to share some stuff, maybe some Spirit Box recordings. There's a guy who was just talking about on a Facebook forum. He used to be a night watchman at one of the mills, because that's kind of what the area is and was over in St. Anthony, Maine for General Mills. And he's like, the stuff I saw there, oh my gosh. So I'd love to get him on, but he hasn't responded. And he's probably like, why is this weirdo like keep messaging me? I don't want to be on your show. So we'll see. And if he responds after the fact, we'll get him on at some other time. So, I mean, that's all that matters. It's really good. Something else I was thinking about when I was doing my break here. How many people have had alien interactions, and I mean even possibly abductions, and they have no idea? Not everyone's going to wake up. Not everyone is going to be purposely woken up. It's just very interesting. And actually Julianne just posted the same thing. It may have happened to people and they just don't know because they don't remember. Or perhaps their memories were wiped. I mean, I just, for some reason tonight, I keep feeling there's some person when I say stuff like that, he's like, oh, that's ridiculous. I don't think so. Can I prove it? Only by the stories of the people who I trust telling them. And that's really about it. So, and that's, something that I have talked about before. And this is what I wanted to get to when I talked about it earlier. I want to try to reach out to them again. Not at my house. I want to go into a field with other people. And we want to do what's called a CE5 experiment. Okay. Now, you all know what a CE3 is. Okay. Think about it. Close encounters of the third kind. But so a CE5 is close encounters of the fifth kind. Close encounters of the third kind is getting some sort of interaction with them. Fifth kind is we're calling them to us. We're luring them to us. And that's exactly what I want to do. And so I believe, and I have a book on it too, but I believe what would work is I have a tone generator. And it's about the matter of finding the right tone and setting the tone and setting the intention and doing the CE5 experiment. Do you all remember Cheryl Lynn Carter? We've had on the program a couple times. She had done it. She's an author. She had done it, and she had talked about some of the success that she's had doing it just the way that we talked about. One of the ways that it doesn't work is by having a lot of attention drawn to it. You cannot have like cameras there. You cannot. It's just not going to work. They're not going to show up. But if you have a few people, and I think the key is to have not just one person. First of all, for safety reasons. Secondly, it becomes a little bit more. It becomes less of a. I don't believe it's sort of situation if you get more people there and stuff. And last year I wanted to do it, and I was too ill to do it. This year I want to do it. I have a few people that I'd like to include to bring out there and do it. Part of me is like, I'd love to do it for the radio show one night, but I just got done saying that probably won't work all that well. So you got that going for us. So we got to figure that out and do it. That my story with them is not done yet. So I really feel like that there is a lot more to be said and tried. Julianne says, I've been doing a personal investigation of my childhood, and I've unearthed that I had my memory messed with so that I would forget what happened. I am missing chunks of memories that span 3 to 8 years old. I'm finding out that I was used in the MK Ultra and Stargate programs for 2 years of that time. I've had other people who've told me the same about themselves. There's some who have come up to me, had told me that they have been on bases on Mars from the 80s when they had done work for the government. It's tough to believe sometimes. I'm not going to lie. But why would they lie? They're not writing books. They're not going and trying to be on TV shows or for the sake of my show even. But they have a story that they want to tell. And some of them had been because they had been part of the program, the U.S. military, of doing the remote viewing into other countries, into other situations. Now, if you're thinking everything that we've said so far is made up, BS, fantastical, it is proven that the U.S. government had a program where they have mediums who remote view into other countries, other people's houses for national security sake. And that is something that has been going on for a very long time. And remember, folks, even President Lincoln was using mediums to help him decide what to do in the Civil War. A lot of people think that he was not for that it was only Mary Todd Lincoln. That is not true. President Lincoln had his own female medium that he would deter to on some very important issues and questions and strategies that he would consult her and get responses. There's a book by Troy Taylor that details all that out. Go check it out. Okay. And, I just feel like that I have to keep kind of reminding that, because I think people are like, that's incredible. I'll be the first to admit that when someone says I was on a base on Mars, that is a tough one for me to swallow. But then again, who am I to say what it is? Who am I to say? I mean, I don't know what it is. For all I know, maybe it never happened. Maybe they're drug induced as well when they were doing their time with the government. I don't know. I'm not qualified to say. But the thing is that there is a lot of stuff that we are not told, we don't know. And I know this has become a very conspiratorial sort of program tonight, and truly was not meant to be. But when you do think about it, it's like, well, there's a lot of stuff we don't know. End of story. As simple as that. So, and Julianne says that they kept aliens secret for over 70 years. And how many times was it close to being opened up and letting people take part in it and learn about it? Even in the 70s, that kind of led to the film Close Encounters of the Third Kind, that there was a documentary. I always forget the name of it, narrated by Rod Serling. And the documentary is like the only documentary ever made about aliens that they went in and they were able to shoot inside the Pentagon, because it had government assistance in it. And the original plan was that they were going to get something like 600 feet of film footage of a U.S. Army officer meeting up with a gray, like at Wright Air Force Base or somewhere like that. I probably got some of these details technically wrong because I'm going off the top of my head on this. And at the last minute, that footage is pulled. But that was the whole point of the documentary, that this was going to be the, hey, we're ready now to say that there is something bigger than what we were letting on, that we know what's been going on. That's what is pretty incredible. If you can track down that documentary that I don't have the name for, I'm super helpful, aren't I? It's really well worth a watch. It really is well worth a watch. It is. It's kind of dry. Have you ever seen In Search Of? This is with Leonard Nimoy. This is kind of a precursor to In Search Of, because it is that sort of like way of talking about the subject. Kind of dry, kind of, the shots for the film are mysteriously lit and all that stuff, but these are worth your time to take a look at. And we just want to be able to get as much information out there as possible. Here's the thing, folks, not to freak you out. Who's to say, like in the studio with me right now, that there isn't somebody? Or in your home? That's something that you could take to bed with you tonight. It's going to be a lights on night for me, that's for sure. But I mean, this is stuff that we need to have a conversation about on all levels. And when I mean levels, I don't even mean government levels or anything. I mean on all levels of belief, whether we believe in it or somewhat believe in it. We don't have all the information, so we can't. Some of you won't, commit to believing fully, but you're open to knowing more. On all levels, we need to have conversations, open dialogue. That is why this show exists. There are people I want to bring on that are going to share their stories. And it's not easy, folks. It is not easy. If you go back into my archives, Christmas time, I think it was last year, 2022 to 2023, Matt Neen. He was, he shared his story to me many, many, many years ago. And that's a replay of that interview from like 2015. And he actually was on a ship, and this guy is a genius, and he was able to actually build a model, the propulsion unit. I wanted him back on the show. He's dead. He died of COVID apparently in 2021. And I'm sorry, I have to say apparently. I don't often buy into the conspiracy theory stuff like that, but with him, I kind of do. My dear friends, I hope you found this an interesting program tonight. It certainly veered in areas I didn't expect it to. We're going to be back tomorrow night. We have Lynn Monet. We're talking about her book, Omnipresent. Another creepy night ahead for us tomorrow. Thank you all for listening. Thank you all for having an open mind. Let's do this again tomorrow. Please share out my show. I'd love to get more people listening. Everyone, have a good night. Take care.
Your radio station for the resistance, the David Pakman Show, weekdays at 2 p.m. on AM 950 KTNF St. Louis Park.